In a city that never quite sleeps, in a small, cluttered apartment, sits Neil, a writer whose insomnia is both his muse and his curse.
3:47 a.m. The golden hour for typing nonsense. Maybe I should write an ode to my lovely insomnia, or a horror story about coffee gone bad.
But before Neil can type another line, a gentle tap at his window breaks the silence. He turns, puzzled, and finds himself staring into the eyes of someone, or something. Neil jumps slightly, startled.
Okay, Neil. Either this is the caffeine working too well, or are you floating?
Neil narrows his eyes, squinting suspiciously.
Very observant, Mr. Insomniac. May I come in?
Of course, because all strange floating strangers are welcome in my place at 4 a.m.
She steps inside, almost gliding across the floor, her dark eyes shining like twin night skies.
Let me guess. You're an angel? Or some new age therapist who just levitates as part of the treatment?
Close. Vampire. Vera the vampire, to be precise. And I couldn't help but notice your insomnia from the street.
Neil crosses his arms, looking skeptical.
Right. And I suppose you just pop into random apartments and offer sleep advice?
Vera gives a playful wink.
Only for writers. I find them refreshingly tortured.
She smirks, flashing just a hint of fangs. Neil stares at her, half dazed, half amused.
Well, you picked the right tortured soul. So, what does a vampire do on a Wednesday night? Besides terrifying insomniac writers, I mean?
Mostly I listen to the city, walk through its memories. But sometimes I like to inspire a dream or two. If you're lucky, that is.
Wait, you're offering me a dream?
Dream nightmare. Take your pick.
Vera leans closer.
I find it charming that you're both terrified and curious.
Well, you're not exactly what I had in mind when I wished for a midnight muse.
Minutes later, Neil finds himself on the rooftop, leaning over the edge with Vera beside him, as though she'd known him for centuries.
You know, Vera, insomnia's got its perks. I get to see the city like this. It's beautiful at night.
Not bad for a creature of habit. But have you ever seen the city at dawn, just before the light burns away the night?
Nope. Sleep tends to be my morning hobby.
Humans, so predictable. If only you knew what you were missing.
Hey, we humans like our routines. And coffee. You ever try it? Life-changing stuff.
Centuries ago, it was interesting, but it doesn't exactly do much for me now.
Vera, how old are you anyway? Like, ballpark figure.
Would it help if I said old enough to know better, but young enough to still find you amusing?
I'll take that as ancient but charming. What's the catch, though? There's always a catch.
There's no catch, Neil. Just one question. Why do you spend your nights awake? Searching for what exactly?
I don't know. Maybe I'm hoping for a sign, or something, or someone who will make me feel alive.
Vera studies him, as if weighing a secret.
You know, there's a fine line between feeling alive and falling in love.
Neil laughs.
Well, if this is your idea of romance, it's pretty weird, but it's strangely working for me.
I'll take that as a compliment.
The first light begins to touch the rooftops, softening the edges of the buildings. Vera glances at the sky, her face flickering between serenity and sadness. Vera sighs.
It's almost dawn. Time for me to disappear.
Wait, just like that?
I'm not exactly a daylight creature, Neil. But hey, at least you'll get a story out of this.
What if I don't want this to be just a story? What if I want to see you again?
Careful, Neil. That almost sounds like a promise.
Maybe it is. But what happens next?
Well, the sun rises. I disappear. And you get to decide if I'm real or not.
She leans in, brushing her lips against his cheek, a whisper of warmth against his skin.
Good night, Neil. Or good morning.
You really have a flair for dramatic exits, you know that?
Centuries of practice. I'll be around, Neil. Just keep looking out your window.
And with that, she fades into the light, leaving Neil alone with the sunrise and an empty rooftop. But somehow, he doesn't feel quite so alone anymore. Night after night, Neil found himself drawn to the window, heart racing each time he peered out into the darkness. He waited impatiently for a glimpse of her, but the nights passed, and she never appeared. Neil sighs heavily, leans against the window, tapping his fingers restlessly on the glass.
Come on, Vera. Where are you? Was it all just a dream?
Hours passed as he searched the night, his heart sinking with every hour she didn't arrive. But then, just as he was about to pull away, he heard it, a voice soft as a whisper, drifting from somewhere in the darkness.
Can't sleep without me now, can you?
Neil's breath catches. He turns sharply toward the source of her voice.
Vera, you're late.
Some things are worth waiting for, aren't they, Neil?
In that moment, his heart melted, his loneliness washed away by the sound of her voice. And as he looked out into the night, he knew that he'd wait as long as it took, just to hear her whisper his name again.
At the end of the day, as a writer, all you need is a little inspiration, a spark of ideas, and me, a vampire.
She bends over him, her cool breath brushing against his neck, her lips almost grazing his skin, sending a shiver down his spine.
All I need is...
And there you have it, a love story that's only just beginning, a midnight connection between two lost souls. But what do you think, listeners? Could this love between Neil, the insomniac writer, and Vera, the enigmatic vampire, actually work? Would they find a way to bridge their worlds? Or would it all fizzle out with the first light of dawn? I'd love to hear from you. What twists, turns, or surprises would you add to their story? Share your ideas with us, and maybe, just maybe, your vision of Neil and Vera's love will come to life in a future episode. Let me know and stay tuned for the next tale of All You Need Is...
All You Need Is, a podcast where the heart finds its voice through enchanting romance stories. Join me as we explore the timeless power of love, weaving together tales that spark joy, nostalgia, unspoken desires, a warmth that makes your heart flutter, and the sweet magic of love that transcends time. From the first blush of infatuation to the comfort of lasting connections. Prepare to be swept off your feet as we delve into the intricacies of relationships, celebrate love in all its forms, and remind you that, at the end of the day, all you need is. Podcast conceptualized and created by Nazar Partiwala using 11 Labs.
Tune in and let your heart be your guide.